Going for two, kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two, sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this, multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo!
What is going on, guys, and welcome to episode 256 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, of course, Jeff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. We are, of course, part of the Going for Two Live podcast network. We are here live every Wednesday night on Facebook Live, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, of course, on all major podcast networks and in the app for iOS and Android. I'm here with my co-host, as always, Mr. Ryan Searfoss. You can follow him on Twitter at Foss534. What's up, Ryan?
Oh, not much, man. Just was dealing with a little pre-show crying dog in the background. But I think we're good now.
I think he'll probably make an appearance before the podcast is over, I'm guessing.
Dude, he hasn't made an appearance in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
He's literally just laying directly behind me, staring through my soul.
Good stuff. All right, our guest tonight, first time on the show, Bill Mustafa. Winner of our under 100K follower challenge on Twitter. He's also a writer for FBA Bets and Fantasy and Frames and host of the Dial Up Blitz podcast. You can follow him at Dynasty Bill FF. What's up, Bill?
Yeah, man, doing well. Tired, but I'm hanging in.
Yeah, because you are not in this country. You are. What time is it there? 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah, we're just gone 2:30 in the morning here. So. Yeah, putting in the hours.
Appreciate you staying up to hang with us. Hopefully, we can keep you here only an hour and no longer, so you can go home and go get some sleep. Hopefully. All right. Well, give us a quick rundown of what it is you do in the fantasy space and just in general what you do on Twitter and all that stuff.
Yeah. So I write fantasy content for Fantasy and Frames. I specialize mainly in Dynasty fantasy football. Started doing that last off season, so around this time last year. Previous to that, I was, or still am, writing for FBA, so prop betting advice for the NFL, and also got the podcast to Dial Up the Blitz.
Good stuff. And I see you're still under 1,000 followers, so guys, go out, give him a follow at Dynasty Bill FF. Let's get him over 1,000 followers.
Because I'm British.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get into the 5 101s.
And now, the 5 101s.
All right, so this is how it works. We give you 5 non-football related categories. You give us your 101 of that category. First one here is adult beverage.
Oh, okay. Coffee or scotch? if we're going hard, then we're going to go scotch at the 101. But if we're going just all adult beverages, I think that every day has to be. I can't get out of bed without an espresso. So
nice.
Depending on how you take the question, it's either an espresso or a lovely single malt scotch.
Now, is espresso the same thing as is here, or is that just a coffee there?
No, espresso is like the small shot.
Smaller.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm at like 4 to 5 cups of coffee a day, so I understand.
Yeah, I'm about there.
So it's 2:30 in the morning. What did you have before the show? Coffee or scotch?
A double espresso. So
nice.
Hoping it's going to push me through.
Good stuff. All right. What is your 101 duo?
It's got to be Buzz and Woody for me. Toy Story.
Nice.
That was my childhood. Running around in the garden with my cousin. He dressed as Buzz, me dressed as Woody.
Nice.
You know, that they were the GOAT duo, the 101s of my childhood. So they're still in that top spot.
Definitely. I like that one. That's a good one. All right. If there was one question you could be given the absolute truth to, what would be the 101 question you would ask?
Okay, right. I know this is like football territory again, but this is when I thought about this question, it's the only thing. Like, if I could just know for sure if the Bills will or will not win a Super Bowl in my lifetime, because it causes me so much stress every season. Every year, it just causes me so much stress. If I knew for a fact we would get one before I die, I could relax.
So what about the other side? What if it's no? Do you stop being a fan?
No, I'm still a fan, but it's just living that disappointment. But at least I haven't got. It's the up and down that's going to kill me. It's like the 13 seconds is going to kill me.
Yeah, I can just see it now though. Like you're in the championship, AC championship game, and you know what, they're not going to win this game. Like, I don't care what happens, they're not going to win. So that would kind of suck.
It would suck, but I think it'd keep me alive a little bit longer.
Yeah, fair point. All right, fictional character you'd like to meet in real life.
This one was real easy. Captain Jack Sparrow. The dude's funny. He likes rum, and he's either on a boat or on a beach. Sign me up.
Yeah, love it. I love it. That's one of my favorite characters of all time too. I mean, he killed it. All right, last one. Superpower. If you could have one superpower, what would you have it?
It's the obvious answer, but flying. I think just being able to shoot up Superman style, land halfway across the world in a couple of minutes.
Nice.
That's the one.
Yeah, that definitely has been one of the favorite ones. That one and invisibility. It's either flying or invisibility seems to be the two. And I think we have a couple of Professor X, being able to control people's minds. It's been another popular one that we've had on the show a couple of times.
And a bunch of perverts who want to be invisible.
Yeah, we did have a couple of those. All
Just
right,
kidding, guys. You guys aren't perverts. You're outstanding members of society.
All right, let's get into some football stuff.
News and notes from around the league.
News and notes is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. It's fantasy football with no waivers, no lineups, no worrying about injuries. With their best ball leagues, you get to do the fun part, and that's draft. It's like a mock draft you can win money from. Download the Underdog Fantasy app for iOS or Android and use our promo code GF2 to get $100 deposit match. For as low as $3, you can join one of our Going for Two leagues, or you can join one of the hundreds of contests in the lobby. All you got to do is download the app, use promo code GF2, and get your deposit match up to $100. All right, not a whole lot going on in the NFL right now. After the craziness that we had the last couple of weeks, this one's a lot more tame this week. The first one here, Ryan, I'm going to go to you on this one. 49ers looking like they won't cut Jimmy G. It's a thing of they can't trade him and they can't do anything with him, so they're basically going to keep him on their roster. What are your thoughts there in that QB controversy?
I mean, I think the smart thing is to keep Jimmy G because it's a quality backup. But it needs to be clear-cut that he's the backup, or else it's chaos and bad for Trey Lance, because you don't want to see it happen to him, what they did to Tua 2 years ago when they had Ryan Fitzmagic there and just kept going back and forth, because that's just going to stun his growth. And I think you're better off holding him, and inevitably a quarterback's going to get hurt at some point, either in the preseason or once the season starts, and that's when you get your most trade value. Not right now, right before the draft, or everybody's either has their quarterback situation figured out or they plan on drafting one. So I think it's a bad move to trade him now anyway. So it makes sense what they're doing, and cutting him is just a waste.
Let me ask you, Billy, if you own, let's say, Deebo Samuel, or maybe you own Brandon Ayuk or George Kittle, which quarterback do you want to start week one?
I think it depends on which guy you've got. I think when I looked, I was trying to trade for Trey Lance in one of my leagues a couple of weeks ago, and I was looking to see how George Kittle did with him. Deebo was pretty much QB proof, but Kittle seemed to have his worst games when Trey Lance was playing. So I think if you've got Trey Lance under center, you your Ayuk shares are up a little bit, and if you've got Jimmy G, then your George Kittle shares are up a little bit if the guy can stay healthy.
Gotcha. Yeah, good point. All right, let's move to the Ravens here, Ryan. Your two running backs, Dobbins and Edwards, could start the training camp on the PUP list. Are you worried if you're an owner of these guys?
Nope, leave them out as long as you can. Let them get healthy. Like, they're not like their injuries that are shocking us. It's an ACL or it's 2 ACLs. Like,
2
we
ACLs,
see,
yep.
yeah, and we see guys come back all the time from it. Why rush them? They're probably going to draft somebody and bring them in as well. So let the young guy get some work. Let these guys heal. Make sure they're 100%. They're really pushing getting that team healthy and changing how they do everything this year. And I think that's a big part of it. They even talked about they're not practicing with other teams this year. They're taking it easier. So I think it's just being smart.
Yeah. What about you, Billy? Any worry if you're a Dobbins or Edwards owner here?
No, not for me. I'm in the same boat as Ryan, I think. I mean, I highly doubt we would have even, we would have even rather seen J.K. Dobbins in the preseason after what happened last year.
Yeah.
And I like him as well to pick up another runner in the mid rounds. A guy like Brian Robinson, I think would be great there. It'd be like a little rookie Mark Ingram for him.
Nice.
So yeah, no worries for me.
All right. This news just broke right before we came on the podcast here, and I don't know how it's going to tie into fantasy really, but Bruce Arians to retire there. Ryan, your thoughts there on your pieces with the Bucks there? Are you worried about their offense with that Arians offense potentially not being there?
Honestly, if it was a different quarterback, I'd probably say yes. But like Brady does Brady.
Yeah.
I'm not worried at all about my pieces. Once he's gone, absolutely. But right now, no.
Yeah. Are you in the same boat with that, Billy?
Yeah,
No
100.
impact, really?
Yeah, 100%. I think if it wasn't Tom, you'd maybe look at it and go, it's going to be a bit of a problem, but it's Tom Brady. Doesn't matter who the coach is.
Yeah, the OC is basically Tom Brady, right? I mean,
yeah, pretty much.
I mean, if Kyle Trask was in there, it'd be a completely different story, but it's Brady.
Yeah, good point. Last one here, Ryan's favorite guy, Ronald Jones, going to the Chiefs. Any impact to CEH there, and are you interested in Rojo at all?
Is that are you asking me?
Ryan. Yeah, going to Ryan.
I mean, I think he's a better runner than CEH, which probably is not the greatest thing to say. I think they're going to be a complete timeshare, and I think somebody else is going to be involved. Like, I think it's going to be a 3-man rotation. Neither a power back, which means either Gore is going to be there, somebody they draft late rounds to steal those red zone carries. I think Rojo's going to get like middle of the field work, and passing situations going to be CEH. And I don't know. I think it's going to be a mess. Out of those backs, I'd probably take the cheaper or Rojo, but I'm not really caring about any of them right now.
What are your thoughts, Billy, on this situation here in the backfield?
Yeah, same. I mean, you just look at all of them, CEH, Rojo, and like you say, there's going to be like a Derek Gore or someone there. It's just like, meh. Like, I don't really want any of them. If I can get away with, if I can get a second round pick from any of them, then they're off. They're off to another team, another guy's roster. So yeah, not for me.
The only positive I took out of it, I mean, it's a negative for CH no matter how you look at it, but if you're going to spin it to a positive, is that Rojo can't catch. I mean, literally can't catch. So CH at least gets the third down work no matter what happens. Unless they re-sign Jerick McKinnon, then maybe it gets a little bit more murky. But I think if you're a CEH owner and you're in a PPR league, I do think he still has some value there. And Rojo becomes the first and second down back, I believe, there. So it's going to be an ugly situation. That whole offense will look different. No Tyreek Hill there as well. It's going to be a totally different looking offense this year. All right, so tonight we're going to do something different we haven't done in a while. It's going to be a dynasty startup strategy conversation here, and I'm going to leave it kind of open-ended. Usually I have a very strict script that I stick to, but I'm just going to throw it out to y'all, and we'll go to you first, Billy, here. Just for startup draft strategy, is there anything you like to do? Do you like to trade up? Do you like to trade down? Do you kind of like to play the field a little bit? Like how do you take your draft strategy here for startups?
Yeah, I don't typically move around too much in the startup draft. I like to sort of stay where I am unless there's, someone's fallen. I did a couple of times last season doing some startup drafts. I made some moves to go and get Deshaun Watson. But typically I'll stay where I am, and I'll just play it as it lies. I'm looking for value, and the opportunity cost of taking X player over Y player is more important to me than going off my rankings, if you like, and being like, this is the guy I have at number 1 or number 2 or number 3, etc., etc. It's just about how's the board falling, how is that has there been a massive QB run, which has left me with great value at the wide receiver position, or vice versa? And that's how I tend to play it.
What about you, Ryan? Do you do value-based drafting, or are you thinking roster construction immediately?
I only do best player available. Like, I don't care about roster construction, especially for drafting this time of year. Like, there's so much time to trade, make moves, pick up somebody at free agency. Like, your options, you have so much time. Why take a player who may be lesser if you don't have to?
Right.
Like, right now in the draft, I want to get the most high-end players I can. Like, I'm a big proponent of trading up. I might be one of the few people who likes to trade up, but I like it because I want elite guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of my favorite things to do that I just started doing this a couple years ago, and it's worked a couple times now, is if I'm an early first, I trade my second round pick into a mid first, like trade a second and third to move up, and then I trade back to my first to kind of get 2 in the first round and get more upper echelon talent. Like, I think you can find holes in moving up and trying to beat like runs, make sure you get elite players. But I want to get as many top 12 players at as many positions as I can. Like, I do a lot of IDP, so I'm trying to beat those runs with that as well. But yeah, I'm best player available.
Yeah, I think you trading up is sometimes a little bit more zig and zag, where I think a lot of industry people like to trade back and collect more picks and future picks. So trading up sometimes is really the way to go, because then you get those elite players that they're kind of overlooking a little bit.
Because the thing with it, if you're trading back, you're giving up an elite player, because normally the better players go before the ones who aren't as good. And there's a complete drop off after like the top 5 or 10 guys, whether we want to admit or not. Like, there's only Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson at wide receiver, and there's a drop off after that. And it's pretty significant. And like, I want to make sure I get somebody like that.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I get a top running back, but I'm not afraid to move up, because it's a lot harder to trade for them later on than trade for a David Montgomery who you may draft in the 4th round.
So, Billy, I'm gonna go to you here. I know you said you like to stay put here, but what about trading potentially for future picks? Do you like to do that, or you like to stay in the moment?
Yeah, so I stay typically for the startup. I just stay focused on the startup. I find that I'm a better, and this is part of the reason that I draft for value, is I find that I'm a better trader than I am drafter. So I'll just draft the guys that are either going to be useful to me, depending on how the roster that I've built turns out, or I go, look, okay, maybe this is more of a middling team, and I need to get to work on moving some of these guys on and getting younger, or vice versa. I'm moving some of these guys on and moving some picks on and getting some more veterans in. And that tends to be the bulk of how I build a roster. But I like for the startup, I just sort of tend to go stay in the moment, draft from the guys available. Will only move a little bit around the board if I feel like someone's falling and there's value there, and then I typically get to work after.
Good stuff. Yeah. So Ryan, we have a mutual friend, Gerson, that I think one of his drafts he completely punted the entire draft and traded basically for next year picks. What are your thoughts on trading this year's picks for next year's picks?
Like,
in the startup, not
in the startup.
In the startup.
Honestly, it's not for me. I get the strategy. I get making sure you're young and talented for the future. But it's a lot easier to get a 23 pick now than it is a 22 pick now. And I'd rather trade my 23 away to get more players now and compete, because there's so many stars in the NFL who are under 25 years old. Like, I don't think it's need to reach to get them to the future that much. I know next year's class is stacked, and I'm sure the one after that is. And It's just how it is every year. Like, we have this excitement with the unknown, but I'm cool with getting players now and waiting on those picks. Like, I get it, Gerson. It's great, man. I love that you have like 15 of the 30 picks in your 30-man draft. But and I get the strategy. It's just, I want to try to win my money as soon as I can.
Yeah. Yep. Some people forget that it's about the championship. They forget. They think they want the best portfolio sometimes. They want to have the best portfolio. Look at all these picks I got. Look at this and that. It's not about that. It's not just about winning. Sometimes you just got to go for it. Speaking of, younger assets there, older versus younger players, like how do you balance that in your lineup, Billy? Like when do you start looking at the older players, like the Adam Thielens of the world in your startup drafts?
Again, it all comes down to the opportunity cost. If I'm taking and Adam Thielen, who else? Who am I missing out on at that spot to take a veteran like that? And then I also look at it as, is he going to benefit me necessarily, or am I looking at a team that's drafting on the board and I'm like, okay, look, they're hitting up a lot of veterans. They're quite clearly in win now. So Adam Thielen is the right pick value-wise. Even though my roster doesn't need him, I can take him and potentially flip him to that win now team. Or if there's a couple of win now teams, which there always tends to be, then I can flip him over there. But typically veterans, wide receivers and running back, well, not so much running backs in the 30s, but wide receivers in the 30s, I'm trying to avoid until the double-digit rounds.
Yeah, I like that as well. I kind of like to balance my young and old. I try to get the older guys to be my bench backup guys if possible. If you're doing 3 receivers, have the 4th receiver be Adam Thielen or 5th receiver be Adam Thielen, because then you always have that sort of rock that you can go to if one of your young guys don't pan out. What are your thoughts, Ryan, on how to balance old versus young?
I mean, they're filling spots for me. I'm doing that once I get my premier players. And no, Kyle, I don't hate your strategy. It's not what I like to do. But I get it. But once I get my core players, my first round picks, first 5-6 round picks, look at my team, and if it turns out the team I think I'm competing right away, I'm getting guys who can play right away.
Yeah,
you're gonna get some young guys in there regardless. And once you're past round 7, 8, those young guys who are there are more dart throws. So I'm trying to go a little bit safer then.
Yeah,
and I want guys so I can try to win.
Yeah, on occasion in some drafts, I almost draft a really young, high upside guy, and then get the veteran safe guy, especially at quarterback. I'll get the Trey Lance or the Justin Fields really early because you have to get them early to get them. But then later on, I might get a Matthew Stafford or an older quarterback just to have that sort of backup in case that young guy doesn't pan out.
A quarterback's on the few positions I don't care about age on, if we're gonna be honest. Because I mean, look how old. Not just Brady, but he's still the extreme example. But all these quarterbacks in their mid-30s are still balling out. And you can't tell me that Allen, Herbert, who are still young, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott's still young. Russ is, he struggled a little bit last year, but he's still young enough. They're going to be there 5 years. I'm not playing in 7-year windows. If I know a quarterback's going to be still really good in 3 to 5 years, I have no problem either taking him or waiting on him a little bit. I don't need a rookie quarterback who may struggle at first.
Yeah.
That's one of the few positions I don't care as much about age at all on.
Perfect transition there to rookies. Their rookie draft strategy. Let's take it. We've done our startup. We've gone through a full season now. Now we're looking at the rookie picks here. I'm gonna go to you first, Billy, on this. How do you attack your rookie draft? Do you still stay with your normal picks? Or are you trying to move up to get less picks but better picks? Or are you moving back to get more picks? How do you take it?
Yeah, this is where I start. This is where I start moving up and down the board. For me, the rookie draft it becomes mental warfare with everybody else in the league. I'm getting to know everybody. I'm hitting them. I'm finding them on WhatsApp. I'm hitting them messages over Sleeper. I'm trying to get into their head, trying to find out what they're looking for, who they like, trying to get as much information as possible. Take that, put it together with, I've already taken a look at their roster, seeing what potential positions they might be targeting because they're a little bit low at running back, or they need a QB3, or they need an extra wide receiver. And then I'm trying to almost draft the first round at least as if I was them. So I can sort of get a basic understanding of, okay, likely these 2 players are going here, or likely this guy's going to pick one of these 3 players, and try and build out a mock draft to see where the guys that I like are potentially going to fall, and then try and work to take them picks. I must do my league mates' heads in because it's just constant bombardment of messages and how do you like this guy? How do you like that guy? Just trying to get as much information as possible.
I think that.
What about you? How are you after?
I'm taking this mental warfare and in creating your own mock. I'm trying to picture this in my mind. It's kind of brilliant.
Yeah, it's you know, it's just because I enjoy talking ball, you know. So
Well,
I try and build it into a conversation with league mates, and then, but there's always like you know, half of them probably think, he just wants to talk football, but there's always in the back of my mind, like, this is a conversation leading to the piece of information that I'm trying to get, to benefit my team. And it's worked pretty well for me so far. I mean, there's some league mates that have stopped talking to me after a couple of years because they know that there's, you know, it's not going to pan out well for them, whether it be a trade or just giving out information they don't really want to give out. But initially, it tends to work pretty well.
Yeah, that's a good point. I lost connection there for a little bit, so I missed some of what y'all said. I apologize. I don't know having internet connections over here. It seems to be good now, so I seem to be green. But I caught most of what y'all said, that you know, basically playing your league mates, trying to get them to give up those picks there. As far as your strategy changed at all depending on like who you're playing with? Not necessarily like who, as far as like, you know, what are they, fans of this team, fans of that team, but more about if they're friends or if they're industry people that, you know, supposedly are more experienced. Does your strategy change at all, Billy?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't tend to. I do find that you get some guys that, like industry guys, become a little bit more buttoned up when they're playing with other industry guys, if you like. You know, they don't really want to make moves, but you know, it's also easy to find the guy that, you know, really believes in what he's trying to do, really believes in this player or that player, and, you know, trying to extract extra value. If you're trying to, you know, get rid of a pick or get rid of a player they like, it's a little bit easier. I tend to find with friends, because they know me and they know that, you know, it's something that I spend a little bit more time, you know, looking into and, you know, writing articles and stuff, that they kind of, as soon as a message comes or as soon as a trade comes through to them, they're always dubious. They're always like, hang on, how am I losing this? I can't see it yet, but I know that I'm losing this. So I find it harder almost to manipulate and trade with friends than I do industry people.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think too, because a lot of my friends tune in to watch my show. Sometimes I'll be, you know, either pumping up a guy or talking down a guy, and then it's kind of hard to go then and then sell low or buy low a guy, you know, that they have on their team. Like, I watched your show and I know what you're trying to do, so it makes it a little bit difficult. What about you, Ryan? What are your thoughts on industry versus friends?
Friends are hard because, like, I feel like we all talk all the time and everybody thinks everybody's up to something. Like, there's no trust. But I don't know. In industry, it's kind of weird because you can follow trends when it comes to that. Like, when we're doing leagues amongst ourselves, if a player's hot on Twitter, everybody loves the show. Oh, I traded for him. I'm going to tweet this out. Like,
Yeah. Good point.
It's like how you mentioned earlier about looking on paper is more important than winning a championship. It's kind of like that. And I think there's a hole in it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There's ways to manipulate everything. Like, when you're playing with your friends, you can find who their team is, and they may not be up on some news. Like, there's always an advantage. It's just a matter of finding which one it is for which situation, because every situation has an advantage.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. I actually have a situation where my show actually helps me out in a way. I had the 101 in my rookie draft, and I was pumping up taking Jamar Chase as the 101 overall. And a guy in my league thought I was going to take Najee Harris. So when he heard me say Jamar Chase, he sent me a trade that I couldn't refuse. And I'm getting like the 102 and the 103, I think. So I ended up getting Pitts and Travis Etienne, and I already had the 104. So I had three first round picks. I did lose out on Jamar Chase, but
I'd rather have Chase.
Fair. I mean, hindsight, I guess maybe I'd want to have Chase, but when you have three first round picks for the 101, I'd still take that.
That's fair. Yeah, you still got Pitts, which is great. But man, Chase.
Yeah, Chase would be nice to have on my team right now. All right, so one last thing. We're in the industry. We probably play in multiple dynasty leagues here. Ryan, do you change your strategy at all? Do you like go into a league and like, you know what? I've done this on every dynasty league. Do I go in and do something different in this one?
Yep. And then I love doing that. Like, I like doing different draft strategies. I like trying to take different players. I like doing a draft where I trade up. I like doing one to trade back. I did an impromptu auction draft on last Sunday. I may have agreed to when I was a little inebriated. It was a mistake. we'll see how we turn this around. But like, it's fun. I like doing different draft strategies. Best ball's been a big like help to like make it not as extreme.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not afraid to try a different draft strategy because a rebuild's fun.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, if you try something different, then you basically start over and just rebuild it. I like it.
It's still an advantage. It's still fun. Like I'm still having a good time because you're having to make a ton of moves in.
What about you, Billy? What are your thoughts on differing your draft strategy depending on what leagues you're in?
I always go into a draft with the idea of let's try and diversify a little bit and make sure I've got different shares of some players that I'm not so high on myself, if you like. But it always ends up going back to the guys that I like, and all my teams end up looking pretty similar. And that because of that, I started, instead of doing startups, just taking on orphans. Started taking on some orphan teams just so I would have no choice but to have a roster of players that I wouldn't necessarily pick. And like I said, I feel like I'm a better trader than I am drafter. So I like the idea of taking on an orphan, seeing where the league is, where it's at in its life cycle, and then trying to turn that team into a winner.
Nice. Let's talk about trade strategy real quick. Since you mentioned trading, you're a better trader than you are a drafter. What are some of your strategies as far as trading? Like, what do you like? You looking to do 2-for-1s, or do you target certain players because you know that they're going to be more apt to trade? Or what are your thoughts on just trading in general?
Yeah, it all comes down to getting to know the league mates. And I think if you want to be, a good dynasty player, then it's about getting to know the guys in your league. I'll try and find out, like I said, as much information as I can before I start initiating trade talks. But by the time that's happened, I already know what kind of position they're looking for. I already know what kind of players they like, or if there's any of my guys that they've been interested in previously. And I'm always trying to stack things together. Like, let me give you these 3 guys and this pick for that guy, and I'll like a lower pick next year. I think I made a trade a couple of weeks ago, which back to what Ryan was saying about, where in the industry someone's hot, we make a trade for him, we post it on Twitter and see what people say. I was going after Jalen Waddle pretty hard, and I ended up giving the 108 this year, Travis Kelce, Adam Thielen, and some other bits, and I managed to get Jalen Waddle on a 2023 first back. And
nice.
Yeah, that was the general consensus of nice, but it was a week or two of finding out where this guy was, what he was trying to do with his roster. Was he trying to win this year? Was he looking to rebuild? Finding out all the little bits of information that I needed, and then whilst doing that, subconsciously selling him on guys like Adam Thielen. Let's forget he's coming off an injury and 32 years of age. Let's just, he's had them 3 top 10 finishes in Minnesota, and then Travis Kelce. I know he's aging a little bit, but this is a guy that gets the majority of the targets in the best offense in football. And that's what it comes down to for me, getting to know my league mates, and once I get to know them, manipulating them to do what I want them to do.
I like it. What about you, Ryan? What are your strategies on trading?
I traded for Waddle this offseason as well, actually. I don't do as much digging with it. I'm more based off of what the roster is. And I'm going to say I'm not afraid of overpaying for a player. Like, I'm really not. Like, I don't do as much back for it. I'll have a deal that may look really bad for me, or somebody may say it looked bad, and I'll be completely okay with it because I'm getting him a wide. Like, I don't care as much about giving up depth. I really don't, because bench guys are replaceable to me. And if they're helping another team or something like that, I'm cool with that. Like, when I got Waddle, go back to that, I gave up Kittle, Judy, and a first. Which is IDP supporter. And I got Waddle and Goddard back. Like, but I gave up guys who I knew they needed. Kittle helped them. I was fine with Goddard tight end. Like, I'm okay with overpaying a little bit because I want the elite players.
Yep.
And I'll pay to get them.
I'll
also lowball people too. I'll lowball. But like, if I really want a player, I just don't bullshit around.
Yeah, that's something talking about lowball. So I'll actually have a trade set up that I'll look at, before I send it to them. And I was like, all right, this is what I will give up for this package or this player. But let me take this one thing off. and see if he goes for that first. Let me take off that second round pick, or let me take off this one, throw in player and see if he takes that first. And if he says no, then maybe I can add that guy in as a throw in to get him to take that deal.
My other thing
go ahead.
Keep going.
I was going to say, I've also perfected the art of, on Sleeper, you can do 3-way trades, and I'll find all right, this doesn't quite match up. So who has the value that I need that he can send to this guy to get me the value that I need? And I'll do the 3-way trade. And it looks always complicated when you get it, trying to figure out if everybody's getting an equal share of things. But I've perfected the art of doing those.
I can't wait to just reject any 3-way trade you send me immediately on site without even looking at it. Other thing that really works well is have some offers, bring up the player, and if they reject it, bring up player, ask what it takes, and then just leave the person alone. And they might just send you something a month down the line.
Yep.
I get so many trade offers just because I've inquired about a player, forgot about them. And they've sent offers that are worse than I originally sent, or at least in my eyes they are. Just be patient. It's a long off season. Don't act like desperate. Don't be thirsty.
All right. Are you tired of vague and misleading injury reports costing you games? Well, Going for Two's own injury analyst, Dr. James Ferretti, wants to help. With his book, Injuries Suck, But Your Fantasy Team Doesn't Have To, the doc will show you a clear approach to player injuries, media reports, and coach speak, as well as how to anticipate and act quickly with injuries. Available for purchase on Amazon, or you can use his link in his Twitter profile at TFSDoc. Stop guessing, start winning. And a quick plug here, the doc will be on the show next week. We're going to be doing a live personal league podcast sort of promo, and he's going to be on the show next week. So definitely check it out. He'll tell you all about his book. It's a great book. What's your confused face there, Ryan?
Does that mean I have a lot of homework next week?
Yeah.
Or does that mean I have homework, or does that mean I'm off?
You're gonna have homework next week, because we did a mock draft basically with some guys that I met on Facebook, just some randoms, and we're gonna break down their teams. So yes, you will have some homework, Ryan.
It's not a vacation day.
Not a vacation day. The following week is a vacation day. The following Wednesday we're off. So, but next Wednesday will be it'll be the most work you've done all year. That's for sure.
Ooh, that's not saying much.
All right, let's get into the next segment.
It's time for This or That.
All right, This or That ADP edition. This is how it works. I'm going to give you two players and give you their current ADP. I think I use Fancy Pros for these ADPs. And then you're going to pick which player you prefer at that ADP. I'll go to you first, Billy. We're going to go with the running backs to start off. DeAndre Swift at the 106 as the RB4 versus Derrick Henry at the 303 RB14. Which one are you taking there?
I'm taking King Henry there. I think the opportunity cost with Swift at the 106 is too high for me. What was he last year? Running back 15?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if you're taking him at RB4, you're taking him at his ceiling. And I feel like if you're taking Henry there, you're getting a discount, okay, because of the age. But this is a guy that the offense is built around him. Who, they've got AJ Brown and King Henry. That's it. And even if, it pans out that he doesn't necessarily benefit my team, you find a contender, you're going to get a little bit of a haul for Derrick Henry for the next 1 to 3 year window. So, it's a king all day for me there.
Yeah, I think that at the 106, I think I'm probably looking receiver at that point, assuming that the top running backs went there. I think they're receivers that I would probably like more at the 106. Ryan, your running back choices here are Antonio Gibson at the 201 as RB8 or Ezekiel Elliott 3 rounds later at the 504 as RB21.
Zeke. That Zeke value is absurd. I know everybody in the world hates Zeke. Zeke still finished, 7th last year in PPR, and they're still riding until the wheels fall off. And we're not seeing him get that many less carries, even Pollard. And then we have that offense take a little bit of a dip, losing Cooper, so they're going to have to run the ball more. Dude, I'm riding Zeke's wheels to come off, and I don't like Gibson at 201. That's a stretch, man.
That's a reach.
That's a huge reach for me. It's too high. If it is the 3rd round, we have a conversation, but 2, hell no.
Yeah, 201 is it's a little rich for even me, and you know how much I love Antonio Gibson. Is a little bit steep for me.
Yeah, you love him so much, but it's way too steep.
Definitely too steep. All right, let's go to some receivers here, Bill. Devonte Adams at the 202, wide receiver 6, or Jerry Jeudy at the 407, wide receiver 20.
Devonte Adams. For me, Jerry Jeudy in the 4th seems, at least a round, maybe too early. This is a guy that was injured last year, didn't score any touchdowns, and yeah, I get, okay, Russell Wilson's there now, so it's different. But what is Jerry Jeudy going to go from Jerry Jeudy to like a top 10 receiver? There's no, like Devonte Adams again, very similar to the Derrick Henry thing. He's going to be a stud. Doesn't matter. I know he's moved from Green Bay to the Raiders, but he's got that chemistry with Derek Carr from college. He's going to be the number 1 target on that team.
Yep.
And again, if by the time you finish building your team, if he doesn't quite fit, if you're not quite ready to contend, you're going to get a haul from him somewhere. If Jerry Jeudy doesn't ball out next year,
yep,
he's not going to be going to the double-digit rounds. People are just going to wash their hands of him and say, I loved him as a prospect, but I just don't think he's the guy we thought he would be as a fantasy community. So yeah, for me, give me the proven asset. Give me Devonte Adams.
Yeah, I like what you said there too about if they don't pan out. Like if Adams doesn't pan out this year, he still has value. If Jude doesn't pan out this year, he probably doesn't have any value, and you're stuck with him. That's a good point.
Counterpoint: if Adams doesn't pan out, Adams is going to be 30 in an offense without Aaron Rodgers. Just throwing that out there, just being a little bit difficult.
Since you jumped in there, what would you take there, Ryan? Are you going Adams or are you going Jeudy?
I mean, I'm probably still thinking Adams, but I'm a little more hesitant on Adams without Aaron Rodgers. I know him and Carr, great.
What would have
changing
to happen?
Offense is different, huh?
What would have to happen for Adams not to pan out? Like, surely it'd have to be an injury. Like, I just don't see any way where if he plays all 17 games, he doesn't finish as a top 15 wide receiver. I
was talking about this on my other podcast. I got to bring up the number here. I wasn't expecting this, but. So what had Devonte Adams, just think of what made him like all of his great years this similar? Do you know? He's peppered with 1 billion freaking targets.
Yeah.
So Devonte Adams had 3 seasons over 1,000 yards, which seems close. And he's had 2 that were like 3 yards short. But on his seasons where he's had 1,000 yards receiving, his target counts 149, 169, 169. You know how hard it is to get 149 targets when you have Darren Waller on your team, Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah.
Like, Devonte Adams doesn't have a high ADOT. Devonte Adams isn't a huge run after catch. He wins at the catch point. He gets open, but he doesn't do a ton after it. Like, I can see a world where he's living in that 900 to 1,100 yard, 7 touchdown range because this isn't an offense with Derek Carr where he's going to be having 13 touchdowns because Darren Waller, who's a great red zone threat there, and Hunter Renfrow is solid in the red zone. They have good running backs. No matter what we say about Josh Jacobs, he gets the job done. I can't see his targets being enough where I'm that confident as I used to be, where Devonte Adams is clear-cut my wide receiver 1. Now he's not with him and not getting that targets. I'm a little bit more worried.
No, I see where you're coming from. And he's not for me. He's not wide receiver 1 anymore. Now he's outside of Green Bay.
He dropped to like 8 for me.
Yeah, he's still
6,
top 10.
6.
He's still clearly top 10 for me. And, I think the fact that he's gone with a QB that he's got chemistry with, and the fact that, they're paying him so much dough, that I just feel like that even if they force the production, even if they force the targets, he's still going to get a healthy target share.
Yeah.
Waller coming off a down season last year. I'm still in on Devonte Adams.
And to the age thing, you know how many wide receivers last year were 30 years old or older and had 1,000 yards receiving?
How many?
Yeah, how many?
0.
How many of them were called Devonte Adams?
You know who was the leading receiver over 30 years old last year? AJ Green. Like,
yikes.
The cliff is real, man. That 30-year-old cliff is real. I have hesitation now. I love Devonte Adams, but I have a little more hesitation than I used to. He has 1 more season under 30.
So let me ask you this, since we're this became sort of a hot topic here. how far would Judy have to go down for you to take Judy over Adams? Would it be one more round? If he's 507, are you going Judy at that point? 607? Where do you draw the line?
607, then I'm considering it.
Yeah, I mean, 5 or 6 is fair. Like, I can see a world where Judy's good. I got in an argument on Twitter today about Jerry Judy because I love Jerry Judy because he's led the league in target separation. His wins versus man coverage reception perception was high. He was just he missed multiple games and his targets went there. He still had 18% market share, and now he's getting Russell Wilson there. So I can see a world where he jumps into a top 24 receiver role. I don't think he'll ever be a top 8, top 10.
Yeah.
So that's where there's a little bit of hurt there, but he can definitely outperform that ADP and be a very solid wide receiver too for you.
Good stuff. All right, Ryan, let's get your this or that here. I put your boy in here. DJ Moore at the 306, wide receiver 13 versus Amari Cooper, who's dipped a little bit at the 502, wide receiver 24. Which one are you going with there?
Gosh, I feel attacked. And Amari Cooper, wide receiver 24, is such a freaking value. Holy shit. Like, if you did this before Deshaun Watson, we may have a different conversation, but dude, he's going to be eating there. And he's consistently been one of the best, right? He's consistently 1,000-yard receiver his whole career. It's a steal at that rate. And once Watson's in there, depending on suspension, that boosts the touchdown numbers up, that boosts the targets up, the quality of targets. It's too good to pass up. I love DJ Moore. I think DJ Moore is one of the most underrated players in the league because he's locked for 1,200 yards. But Cooper, man, it's a value.
All right, going to Amari Cooper there. I think I will too. I think Cooper with Deshaun Watson is wheels up for me. All right, let's go to the quarterbacks. This or that, Billy. Deshaun Watson at the 708 at the QB 8 versus Tua Tagovailoa at the 1311 QB 16. Which one are you going there? This is going to be a one quarterback league. Just to add that there.
One quarterback league. Tua. I'm going Tua. One quarterback league. I'm not too bothered. You know, I'll take the starter I can get late. You know, and especially now with Miami having, you know, arguably the 2 best yards after catch threats, you know, on their offense as a partnership. Right. You know, there's not going to be 2 better yak guys on the same offense, in my opinion. Now, you know, as a Bills fan, I don't like Tua. I don't think he's any good, but he hasn't got to be good. All he's got to do is find these 2 guys with dump offs and now do all the work for him. And, you know, it's same fantasy points for me if he dumps it off to him for 5 yards and he runs 8 yards, or if he yeets it 80 yards down the field. So, yeah, give me Tua.
So Superflex League, obviously these ADPs would have been a ton different in the Superflex League. Let's just assume that Tagovailoa is like the 9th round. Is it Deshaun Watson at that point?
It's probably still Tua. Sorry, Ryan. It's probably still Tua for me because if it's Superflex, I'm taking a QB round early. 1. Yeah, so I'm looking at my QB 2. And I think, even in Superflex, I'm taking Tua, but it's definitely closer.
All right, good stuff. All right, Ryan. Aaron Rodgers at the 9-10 QB 15 versus Kirk Cousins at the 11-12 at QB 20.
Gosh, this is gross.
One quarterback.
One quarterback. Honestly, probably Cousins. Like, Rodgers, I know he got the bag. And 9th round seems like a really good value for Rodgers. It really does. But right now, with this roster the way it is, it's going to be dump-off city. His wide receivers are trash. Kirk Cousins, as much as we hate Kirk Cousins, is consistently mediocre. He has fantastic weapons. And I trust that more. And he lives off that play action. Like, he has a great offense he's in that makes him look better. Him at quarterback 20 is a value.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that one. I think, the situation with Rodgers and his receivers is definitely going to hurt him this year. So I agree. I think it's Cousins for me as well. All right, let's do tight ends really quick, Billy. Albert O at the 10-11, tight end 16. Obviously he got a bump when they traded Noah Fant versus Twitter darling Brevin Jordan at the 1408, tight end 24.
Brevin Jordan. You know, if you haven't got one of the top tight ends, doesn't really matter. Just give me the starter. Give me the starter at the latest possible point of me that I can take him, so I can take other guys at that opportunity cost at the 10, 11. So yeah, Brevin Jordan for me.
I think I'm with you there. Go with the guy because I mean, there's some upside to Alberto, but Brevin Jordan at the 1408 is too good of a value for me. All right, Ryan. Last year's Twitter darling, Mr. Cole Kmet at 1908, tight end 13, versus the other Twitter darling as well from last year, Adam Troutman at the 1409, tight end 25.
Okay, this doesn't sound weird to say it. Tight end 25 and Adam Troutman, I have no use for. Like, just in general as a player. Like, I have no use for him on my roster. Like, he doesn't do anything for me.
You don't think he has any upside to be more than the 25?
Maybe, but I like Cole Kmet's upside more even at his price. He had 93 targets last year on an offense that was pretty bad. They have new coaching that should open that up a little bit. Hopefully Fields with some time under his belt. Young quarterbacks tend to gravitate towards tight end, especially one who got 93 targets last year. He just didn't get in the red zone. His 612 yards, if you add 3 touchdowns to it, that moves him up the rankings.
Yep. That's the big thing with tight ends too, is the touchdowns. I mean, you add a couple touchdowns to a lot of the guys there. They go from being not a tight end 1 to being a tight end 1 almost instantly. So
definitely. I'm just not he could actually be a useful fantasy player. The Saints and Jameis there, and I don't know.
All right, good stuff. I was hoping to get to some breakout or fake out, but we're running up against the clock here, so we're going to go ahead and hit the forgotten fantasy player.
Get ready for goingfor2.com's Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week.
All right, Billy, who do you got for your forgotten fantasy player?
Okay, so I've got a recently retired guy, finished as the tight end 3 in fantasy football in 2015, and just never jumped on from there. Jordan Reed.
Jordan Reed, yep.
Jordan Reed. Yeah. 2015, he had caught 87 balls for 952 yards and 11 touchdowns. And, people are thinking, wow, this is a top five tight end, and just could never hit the heights, could never stay healthy, problems with concussion. Yep. And, looking into that has made me really afraid for all the times I've gone out and got Dawson Knox this offseason. So that's great.
Yeah, and he had a bit of a resurgence with the 49ers there for a little while. He came in for a few games for Kittle and looked really good, and then guess what? He got hurt again. So yeah, it was just one of those things he could never stay healthy.
He's the reason I'm afraid of small tight ends. Like, no joke. Like these sub 250-pound tight ends, Jordan Reed's why I'm afraid of them.
Yeah, yep. And he had a few quarterbacks, too, that kind of hung him out to dry. I think the last one that he had as a member of the Washington football team, I forget who his quarterback was, but I saw the hit. I mean, he laid out for it, but then he got laid out for it.
Yeah.
Out to dry.
He seemed to always just be taking shots. That's all I remember, really, with Jordan Reed, watching him play, was either scoring touchdowns or getting lit up.
Yep. That's exactly right.
He had 18 injuries in 7 years.
That's insane. Wow. That's crazy. That's wow.
He should have just lost more weight and played receiver.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he should have done.
It's so bad. Like, every single thing he hurt.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's going to be a guy in a couple of years that's not going to be able to walk.
Yeah, he went through it, but yeah, I think from a fantasy perspective, what a year in 2015. We're looking at him as a stud, and then it just he could never play more than, I don't think he played more than 14 games in a year after that. Had a few missed seasons, had a season where he played 5 or 6. Yep. It just fell off a cliff quickly for him, I think. Good
pull. All right, that wraps the podcast up. We'll go around the room. Give us your Twitter handle. If you wanted to plug anything, we'll go to you first, Billy.
Find me on Twitter at Dynasty Bill FF. Got the podcast Dial Up the Blitz. It's a little bit sporadic with episodes at the minute, so bear with us. FBA Football Betting Advice .co.uk will be back a little bit closer to the start of the season. And Fantasy and Frames will be I'll be getting some articles out in the near future around quite a little bit closer to draft time and then just after draft time as well. So look out for that too.
Good stuff. All right, Ryan, what you got?
Find me on Twitter at Foss534. I'm really happy I remember to say my Twitter name for a change. Find me here every Wednesday night. Find me over at Sports Illustrated Draft Bible. Our show comes out Wednesday mornings. We talk everything Dynasty.
All right. As always, guys, you can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. Make sure you check out all of our shows on the Going for Two Live network. For Billy, for Ryan, I'm Jeff. We'll see y'all next week.
Get ready.
Hit the wrong drop there. Let's try that again.
Boo.
Boo.
Boo.